After 11 years working in the solar and battery industry, I recently upgraded my home system. In this video, I'll show you exactly what I used and why, and what I avoided as well.
Hi everyone, Dan and Matt here from GI Energy. Matt, you finally put your hand in your pocket and upgraded your system. We've been telling everybody on these YouTube videos for a few years now what to do, and in fairness, you have had solar and battery installed for a while. We've covered off in other videos how well you maximise the savings in that video with some useful pointers for people that are either installing or have installed, and you really did get a great run with that system. And then very recently, you've obviously replaced everything. Maybe start off just by telling us why to start with, because it didn't just come out of the blue, obviously.
No, I mean, I get a bit of flack from you specifically about it. But the genuine reason, there was a pretty severe hailstorm in southeast Queensland in late 2025. My system wasn't damaged extensively, and we were quite lucky compared to a lot of other homes. There was a little bit of roof damage and some other stuff, but nothing severe at all. But with the panels, through the insurance check that obviously I went through and a lot of people have, there were quite a few panels from the original system that was installed in 2017 that had hotspots. So essentially just parts of the panel that would have been obviously hit by the pretty large hailstones that were there, that hadn't necessarily cracked or smashed the panel to the naked eye. But when you do a thermal imagery check that would obviously have been completed, it obviously showed these hotspots that were there. So the system was written off by insurance, and then I've taken it upon myself, as you probably think, to design and install a new system there. So that was the genuine reason for the change at the time. Yeah.
So that covers your panels. So you obviously had a battery installed as well. It was a fairly small battery compared to your consumption, compared to today's standards. So what made you change the battery as well as the panels?
Yeah, I guess first point there, it was a small battery. It was 10 kilowatt hour usable, which by 2026 standards is pretty small now. At the time when it went in 2021, it was about the sort of go-to, really. Batteries were quite small then. So we generally would fully discharge that battery by 9 o'clock at night in the summer if we're using aircon, midnight maybe in winter. So the battery was too small. One of the other limitations was it had a 5 kilowatt inverter built in. So the charge discharge rate was 5. So if I was using 7 kilowatts in the home, so aircon, oven, car charging, whatever else, I'm still purchasing 2 kilowatts from the grid with a battery on site. And it's obviously something we talk about in a lot of videos about inverter sizing.
Yeah, sure.
And again, that was the standard going back 5 or 6 years, because most were sized that way. So it wasn't really meeting the demand in the home. And then also in terms of replacing everything else, it just made sense. To do it in one go. There's a subsidy for the battery. And just have something more suited to the power that we use in the house.
Okay, so we'll touch on the panels quickly. I think that one's a little easier, and then we'll talk about the battery. So which panels did you put on your roof, and why did you choose that brand?
I've got 18 kilowatts of Trina panels on the roof, so 38 panels, 7 north, 11 east, and whatever else is left, 20 to the west. The reason I used Trina is I wanted a really efficient panel. I didn't necessarily want to go to the top price either. Partly, we probably won't live in that house for a long time, but likely would, if possible, keep hold of it and rent it out. So I wanted something reliable that works really well. And if there's an issue, a good warranty. Trina have been around for so long, proven, tried and tested. And even immediately, to go from, I had 15 kilowatts of panels previously, albeit 6 kilowatts of that was pretty old. My production on the day it was removed, which was a perfect day, was 41 kilowatt hours. And yesterday, which was the first perfect day since the install, about a week later, was 55.
Bearing in mind we're in the middle of winter.
Absolute peak winter.
Literally the shortest day was 2 or 3 days ago from before filming this.
That's what I mean. So slight improvement in the overall size, but large improvement in the output of that system. And I've got less panels north now. as well, just pulling back to that winter point.
Yeah, so I guess it's also worth keeping in mind that they were replaced under insurance
Yes.
because of that
Yep.
potential damage. So
Yeah, correct. But if you go back a year, I think the best June day was about 42
okay, fair
kilowatt
enough.
hours, so it wasn't too dissimilar.
Yeah, okay.
And if anyone is interested, we can do a video on that.
Well, I think we will. Yeah,
I suppose.
we'll get a bit of data
Yeah.
and we'll do a comparison.
Yes.
The battery is a more complex answer,
Yes.
partly because there's so many batteries at the moment, and there's not that many that we choose to install. And
Yep.
there's loads of videos that explain why we choose the ones we do.
Yeah.
For an overview for people watching for the first time, the ones that we install are Tesla, Fronius Reserva, BYD, Sigenergy, and Sungrow.
Yep.
And we install them in various different volumes. Currently, right now, Sungrow and Sigenergy are the two that we install more of than any of the others.
Yep.
But that does change over time, depending on the models that were released. So which did you install?
I've got the Sigenergy.
Sigenergy. You went Sig.
I did, mate. I did think about it for a little while.
Yeah.
Same way that when I have a conversation with someone that is really looking into this in detail and wants to understand, I guess, the pros and cons of each option. For me, the Sig just ticked so many more boxes. Couple of genuine reasons there. I already had a Fronius Watt Pilot EV charger.
Yep.
So by installing the Sig, we wired that into the smart port, and I've got full control over that EV charger as if it's brand agnostic, as if it's the same brand. So if you've got an iPad and an iPhone, everything works in the same way. If I'd have gone a different manufacturer, any other battery, I would have had to replace the EV charger to achieve the same outcome of having that full control with that battery's branded charger.
So if not, you'd have had to have two separate devices, not
Yep.
talking to each other, not working intelligently. But
Yep.
Sigenergy allows you to use a completely different brand. Whereas if you had gone Sungrow or one of the others, it wouldn't have worked.
Correct. That would have had to
that's-
come out.
So that's a solid reason.
Again, I want to be genuine about
Yeah.
the reasons for it. So that just off the bat there probably saved $1,500, $2,000. New charger, rewire, all those sorts of
Yep.
things. So I've got full control over the EV charger. And again, a lot of clients that we've installed or maybe looking at this possibly already have a wall charger.
Yeah.
Almost certainly wouldn't be a Sigenergy or a Sungrow or a Fronius, because if they don't have solar,
No, that's right. Yeah.
it may be more car brand specific or a generic brand. So having that possibility of controlling it in that way just makes so much more sense, because obviously of how we use power, trying to utilize all the solar from surplus energy first, operate with potential tariff windows or VPPs. Second genuine reason is where the battery is installed is close to my switchboard. If I'd have gone a different brand where there's a separate inverter and battery, so not an all-in-one, the battery or the inverter would have had to go inside the garage, and I wanted everything outside because it's a really tight garage. We've got a really narrow nib of about 200 mil, which most garages aren't that way. So I wanted it in the carport. It took the same space as the old Sonnen battery that was 10 kilowatt hours. It's actually slimmer
Wow.
for a 27 kilowatt hour battery and the inverter. So there's now more space in the carport, so you can easily park the car.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to keep, because it's a single garage and as I said, quite narrow, I wanted to keep that whole part clear. So I've got the gateway inside, and then the battery is under the carport on an eastern wall. Obviously with the carport roof, it gets, if any, maybe half an hour of sun really early in the morning in the summer, but nice airflow as well on that eastern side.
Yeah. Okay.
Also got the England lights going on it if anyone's interested. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Look, it's a great product.
Yeah.
We've talked about it all the time. For people that are watching this the first time, bit of an overview of Sigenergy. We install loads of them.
Yeah.
They're definitely at the moment the most popular battery we install.
Yes.
They've come out more recently into the market, but they've got a battery that's extremely energy dense.
Yeah.
It works with AC and DC coupled situations, which just means if you've got an existing system, it's easier to use.
Yeah.
It's stackable and modular, so you can stack it as you need. You can almost pair any inverter with any size battery, so you can build your own system around what you need.
Yeah.
It has really advanced safety features, which we can go into more detail in other videos, but it's really top of the line in terms of safety features. The batteries are wired in parallel, which means you can add new modules later and they'll work as a new module.
Yep.
They won't get dragged down to the existing modules potentially decreased efficiency, having been there for a while.
Yeah.
What else have I missed there?
I don't know, mate. That's pretty good.
They look great.
They look, yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
The DC charger played into this a bit for me as well.
Okay, that's another good one.
Because I've got the existing wall charger, at this stage, I haven't added the DC charger.
So what's a DC charger?
DC charger is different. So most cars or most homes, if they have a charger at this stage, it would be an AC wall charger. So there's a limitation on how much power can go into the car, depending if it's single or three-phase, and obviously based on the car manufacturer. So on single phase, it's generally limited to 7 kilowatts, on three-phase 11. There are some cars that allow up to 22, but very few at the time of recording this. The DC charger is essentially looks like another battery module on the SIG. So it goes into the stack and it allows that straight pass through of DC. There's a bigger, the bigger charging port that obviously bypasses the AC side of the car. So it can be up to 25 kilowatts DC. So if you need a faster charge, or maybe there's potentially two cars at the house, that was my thought really on the DC charger. If we get a second EV, you've got to charge them both.
Yeah, of course.
And then you obviously want to make best use of the solar you generate because the feed-in tariff is so low in the day, or utilize the free tariff windows, the solar sharer, as all these plans are changing, or a VPP, so that if I potentially needed to charge the car at say 15 kilowatts per hour, I might have 10 of solar coming in or more, a little bit of battery, or even the grid. You could fill up half the car in 3 hours in that 3 hour window.
Yeah.
So if there's two cars there, you do one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday.
Bam. Yeah.
Top it up. So just having that flexibility was really important to me.
The other thing there as well that's worth mentioning is that DC charger also allows you to bidirectionally charge. So at the time where vehicle to grid, vehicle to home, V2X comes in, which for people who are unsure what that means, it means really that you can use the battery inside your electric vehicle, if you have one, to run things in your home, to run the whole home, and to bidirectionally go back and forth rather than just as a battery in the car. The Sigenergy allows that functionality to happen if and when the vehicles allow it and the grid allows it. It's not quite ready yet, but it's obviously being tested and used in some cases, but not in a mainstream way, but that's coming. Yeah,
it probably a lot quicker than we all realise as well. There's a few places doing it already. So that was also in the back of my mind. I really wanted full backup for the house. We keep getting a couple of there might be short snap outages, but we're getting on and off, like not necessarily aligned with summer storms when one might expect. And we had one sort of late May for about an hour in the morning. I was just about to make some eggs.
Oh, how annoying.
You know what I mean? I was making some food for the kids. They got fed, so that part was all right. But then I wanted to have a shower, get ready, you know what I mean? I got to dry my hair, do all those things.
Yeah, 45 minutes with a hairdryer.
Exactly. So if I had full backup, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
So having that was really important.
Instantaneous backup too.
Yeah. And then looking on the app, I've looked at so many sites that we've installed, been with clients that have used it, friends we've done it for. Until you've got your own one, it's so cool and it's so easy to use. That was a really big thing, is just the ease of setting up those windows for charging. Again, coming back to the third-party wall charger, having full control over that.
So following on from this video, we'll do a little bit more around the app once you get a bit of data, I think, because it is a very cool feature.
Yeah.
We obviously look at customers all the time, but it would be good to have yours there just to really open it up and show people what's happening. I think in summary, it sounds to me like there's some great battery options out there, as we said, and it was a tough choice for you. You've gone with SIG for all the reasons you said. I think if I was building a new home and putting a new battery in, I would choose SIG as well for different reasons, partly.
Yeah.
But it is a great product.
And I think that sums it up. Like, you don't have an EV at the moment.
No.
So your thought there would be completely different to mine.
Yes.
Potentially, if you build in, it would likely be three-phase
Yep.
as well. My house is only single-phase.
Yep.
So in the future, I might be in that same position, but it's just hitting and covering off all those other parts. It's so well made. It looks cool. It's so easy to use on the app. I just love it.
Yeah, I think we all do, mate. And as I said a couple of times, just to reiterate, doesn't mean that any of the other batteries we spoke about are not as good. It's just horses for courses, isn't it? If you're looking into a battery for your own home or business, we have a free battery guide that we put in the description to every single one of our videos. I think people find that pretty useful. So the description will be in the link to this one too. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to get in touch or ask us in the comments. And thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.